of all, thank you so much for being here in the festival. I really appreciate that. And I love you, my dear filmmakers. Okay, so where is the idea coming from when you guys start screenplay? Tell me, sir.
Yes, I started on my first screenplay. The idea comes from music, art, and my love for the cinema. And above all, I was inspired by my mentor, Hitchcock. I love all his movies. I read all about what he has written about to do a good movie. So this is my first inspiration. I try to imagine what the character I want to create or the message I want to give to the audience. So I start to put the first phrases and thinking about the characters, and then I start to write the story and think about, above all, what I want to express and communicate to the audience.
For me, I tend to write a lot growing up in the US, but being from Mexico. So for the story, I was focusing a lot on just like quinceañeras, how that's so important to a lot of people from Mexico. And growing up in the US, what if you didn't have that access to celebrating that, or to hitting that milestone of becoming, of what technically you're coming into a woman, but within that I tie in immigration, sibling relationships, your relationship with your mother. At the same time, the world kind of closing in on you. So it was focused very much on culture and kind of, in a way, losing it when you tend to integrate.
Well, the inspiration for my story was very different because I don't know, everything can be inspiring. For example, for my features film, the inspiration comes to classical pictures. It's a classic example to art that inspiring arts, and I don't know, peoples can be inspiring, and talking about that with here, with that, and that's it.
Hi. So for me, I'm a big fan of all your romance and your comedy and your dramas. So for me, when I write a story, it's just whatever pops into my head. If I have an idea come into my head at the time, I stick with that title, and then I try and run with it as best I can. I don't have a set theme in mind. I don't sit there and think about it. It's just it comes into my head and I just start going. And I only go back and edit if I have to. If I have another idea that follows in line with what I'm writing, or if I have to go and say, okay, put this here, put that there. So and for me, like I said, it's the drama, the romance, and the comedy. So I tend to focus mostly on love and relationships and see where it takes me from there.
So what I wrote, it's titled Second Date, it's romantic comedy. And I think the inspiration, when you kind of, I perform, I do stand up, I do comedy as well. So when you tell a joke or share a laugh with anyone, and everyone's had this moment where you're just everything disappears. Your color, your religion, everything, all the lines that we've kind of created go away. And you just share this moment with someone where you're just laughing. And so I've had many of those moments, just as I always tell jokes, I keep it light. And then that connection, there was a few moments where, not to get into the story, but there was a few moments where it was just so, it was like, I want everyone to share this moment I just had with this other human being, whether it's at a bar, a restaurant. And so I was just like, how do I do that? And I'm like, well, I really want to get these ideas on paper. And so I got all these ideas on paper. I started writing with no real structure. And then I ended up using a book called Save the Cat. So if you guys are interested in the writing process, Save the Cat, I just kind of was like, that provided the structure for me. Then it translated my inspiration into this kind of story and these ideas. And then from there was, I also do consulting on the side, so there's always analytics and the calculations, and it was like, okay, can I tell two stories at the same time? Is it one story? How is this all going to fit together? So I had the big cardboard box. I had all of the scenes, and I was like, okay, how is this going to work? And then, that's kind of one part of my process. And then the second part was just dreams. I don't know if God or someone above is telling me to tell the story, but there was something coming from above, because I'd wake up in the morning and the whole scene is there. It is like I have to run. I'm not even brushing my teeth. I'm just like starting to write. So that's been my process so far.
That's nice, guys. So what about the discipline? I mean, do you guys have a routine of writing every day? Do you guys write when you have that inspiration? Do you guys forced to write no matter what? Because there are some language. What about you, Giuseppe?
I try to write every day. Even if when I don't have clear idea where I want to go, but I try to put some words in my notebook or I open my PC and try to listen to music or think about the people I've met, the story they told to me, and I try to put together the ideas, and then suddenly sometimes I find the right idea or the right direction. So I try to find a moment in the day to write, even if I'm tired or my wife or my daughter are trying to distract me. But I like to write above all in midnight when there is silence and there is the max inspiration for me.
I tend to write at least a goal of like 5 pages a day. If I don't have any kind of inspiration, to get anything on the page, I outline at least. And if I don't, I just pace. I tend to pace like a lot in my room, or I'll go out for a walk or do something that'll kind of I feel like I come up more with just little, lightning moments when I'm walking around in the park or doing something, and I just keep a notebook with me and just tend to write something that could elaborate the scene a little bit more or anything. But again, if I don't write, I do tend to outline or at least write the title of what each scene would be or where the story would go.
Well, I try to write every day, but it's not simple sometimes. I usually use the music to help me. I start to write in the night, in midnight, and sometimes I wrote 15 pages, or someday nothing. Depends by the inspiration. Sometimes you need only to see your notebook, to see your little ones that find in the, I don't know, about the dreams, about your things, and that's it. I always try to write.
For me, when I go to write, I usually can write up to 5 or 6 pages at any given time. I haven't really written anything lately. I've been so busy with my other job and family commitments that I've had to deal with. But for me, like I said, when I get the idea, I run with it. And I'm usually there for maybe 2 or 3 hours writing something. And then if I get a blockage, I just take a break. And then when I get something else in my head, I go back and do it another time. And usually when I write, it's usually 5, 6 pages at a time, if I have the time to do it. So, and lately that's not been good. I haven't had the time, but yeah, for me that is how it goes.
So I wish I could write every day. It'd be amazing. That'd be my dream. But for me, because I need the block of time, I need the coffee and the music and I'm looking for that inspiration. I want that inspiration, and in the day-to-day life of your day job and everything else, you may not have that inspiration. And so sometimes if I have ideas, I immediately write. I always carry around a notepad, so I'm always jotting down ideas. But to purely write like pages and a scene or something like that, for me, I need some lots of time. So it's probably every couple days is when I really sit down, because I always spend at least 3-4 hours, so which I don't have every day, unfortunately. But
So guys, I'm going to ask you a very tricky question, which is, can it be open actually? So what makes a good story, you guys as a writer? What exactly is a good story? Okay, I know it's a tricky one, but something you might think personally can be 1, 2, 3 things. okay, what makes a good story to be in the screen? So.
For me, to make a good story, you have to put something about you in the story. For me, it's your vision. If you, as I told you before, if you have a message that, or something that happened to you that you want to make other people know, or you want to use metaphor in order to help other people. So if you use something that you have in your life, can convince more the audience to follow or feel what you feel. So this is for me the first thing. The second is create characters that the people can connect to, that are strong, that their personality, and people can recognize something and decide that they are new heroes to follow. And the third for me is put inside music. When I love music, so when there is a song or a musician that can inspire others to realize the dream, these are the three things.
For me, I guess the first one would be that having relatable characters, characters that people can see and say, you know, that could be me, or I've been through that, as well as speaking for, let's say, short, even if it is short, no matter 5 pages, 12 pages, for it to make that full circle, because sometimes people put, a relationship on screen, but it just never has that full tie-in, and I feel that that's very important to have a cathartic moment, whether it be a small moment or a big moment. We have to have that catharsis to where the audience, that's where the audience relates, and that's where the audience is satisfied, because I feel when the audience leaves unsatisfied, that's when it's very easy to forget. And when people do remember, whether it's a film, a feature, a short, it's usually because it told so much in such a small amount of time, because of either the characters or having those beats, those exact beats of leading up to the cathartic moment.
Well, when I wrote a good story, I can answer you in the moment, but no, joke apart. Well, no, a good story for me is to complete the entire circle of the story, the entire circle of the characters, to create a good story, to create a good characters with a good backstory, the entire life of characters that we don't see on the screen, but that we need to know to understand the change of the characters about all the story. And for me, a good story is that is have good short stories around the big story. That for me is a good story.
For me, I think it's the vision, the passion, and the heart and soul. If you don't have that, then the story doesn't come across in a good way. I mean, I know a lot of people say anybody can write anything, but unless you have the, like I said, the heart, the soul, the passion, and the vision to do it, it's not going to come across as a good movie. It'll come across as, okay. But to have a theme to go with it too is what also makes it important. So whether it's a holiday theme or just the theme of love or horror or whatever it is, to me a good story has to have all of those combined in order to be classified as a good story.
I'm not sure what to add to that. That was all of the points. The only thing I would add is maybe tension. If I stood up right now and started jumping around, the whole room would be like, "What's going to happen next?" So that may make a good story. Who knows? So what's the tension in this? And every scene needs something that I look for. What is that kind of tension? Where's the audience reading this? Do they want to read the next scene? And so that tension is kind of